Every year, every single year. Thank you so much, Susan, for that introduction. I'm not really sure how we're going to follow up after those amazing speeches from our wonderful showgirls. However, we're going to do our best. So for those of you in the crowd that may not be aware, the RAS Rural Achiever Award is designed to discover and promote potential leaders in both New South Wales rural and metropolitan communities who are committed to rural New South Wales. It is a statewide competition run by the Royal Agricultural Society to identify 8 young men and women each year whose leadership and example will serve to ignite and inspire other young people to seek exciting opportunities for a future in rural New South Wales. So we're going to do it a little bit differently with our Rural Achievers today, and we're going to host a debate. The debate topic for today is going to be that the best of rural Australia's days are ahead of it. Due to the fact that we have an uneven number of rural achievers this year, one of our rural achievers is going to have to go twice. Despite a very kind offer from our Minister of Agriculture to take over, when I informed him that he was only allowed to speak for 2 minutes, he then declined. I'd now like to invite onto the stage, I hope, our Rural Achievers for 2021. Please make them all feel very welcome. So, our first and fourth speaker for the affirmative team will be Dione Howard from Milbralong. Dione is a veterinarian in Wagga Wagga, and she immerses herself in the world of agriculture all over, from leadership training to educational conferences and ambassador programs, resolutely committed to giving back to the industry that she admires. Speaking for the first negative team will be Josie Clark from Bopini. She's studying a PhD in grains and has firm ideas and an incredible focus on problem solving for future generations. Speaking for the second affirmative team will be Sally Gavin from Cumnock. Sally has a Bachelor of Animal Science, but however it still allows Sally time for her beloved Australian stock horses as a breeder, competitor, instructor and judge. Speaking for the second negative team will be Alistair Clark from Finley. Alistair is working on his PhD in rice and is working with a range of digital agriculture tools to explore ways to improve the management of the crop. Speaking for the third affirmative team will be Ryan McParlin from Jamberoo. Ryan has a Bachelor of Mechanical Engineering with honours. However, he has also made time for his local show society as an exhibitor, committee member, steward and coordinator. Speaking for the fourth affirmative will once again, as I mentioned, be Dione. Speaking for the fourth negative will be Mitchell Dwyer from Cowra. Mitchell's an agronomist and he has also benefited from some outstanding agricultural mentors and wants to pay this forward and become a respected and effective leader himself. So, without further ado, I'd also like to mention that today's debate will be judged by Mr. and Mrs. Dudley and Mr. Fairfax. So they're going to be given the very tough task of deciding who's won today's debate. I'd now like to invite Josie Clark to come forward to speak, not Josie, sorry, Dione to speak for the first affirmative. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Rural Achiever Great Debate.
Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, my name is Dione, and as the first speaker for the affirmative today, I would like to start by defining our topic. We define rural Australia as rural, regional and remote communities, as well as agricultural industries outside metropolitan areas. We define best days are ahead, as that in the future things are only going to get better. I'm going to begin today's debate by focusing on our youth. The future is bright with us in it. Sally, as our second speaker, will further our case by focusing on the way technology will enhance our future. Ryan, as our third speaker, will convince you that a future with increasingly diverse careers and business enterprises just has to be a better one. And you'll be delighted to know that I'll be back as fourth speaker for the affirmative, leaving you without a doubt that rural Australia's best days are ahead of it. Young people may only be 20% of the population, but we are 100% of the future. Ladies and gentlemen, I ask you to look around this amphitheatre and tell me, what do you see? I'll tell you what I see, and that is a group of bright young minds representing their regions, their peers, and the future of rural Australia. With the support of all of those who have come before us, who have paved the way for us to have these opportunities, how are we not best placed to lead rural Australia from strength to strength into the future? We are well equipped to embrace CSIRO's observed megatrends over the next 20 years, including rising education and skill levels, global reach in business, and advances in scientific research. The future looks great, and the best is yet to come.
I'd like to time travel. Would anyone else like to time travel? I'd really like to see what does future Josie's life look like. Will it be me sitting on a veranda with a nice glass of wine in my hand, watching a sunset while my robots do all the work for me? And I could turn to my kids and say, you know what? I used to have to pick fireweed by hand, and now I can... But see, the future isn't all rainbows and unicorns. The future provides uncertainties. So, ladies and gentlemen, today we, the negative team, believe the future of rural Australia will be faced with many uncertainties and challenges, and we think that's important to address. So today, I'll be talking about some of the best days in our past and how that can shape our future. Alistair will be addressing the uncertainty of rural communities and farming families, whilst Corey will be looking at the loss of important agricultural resources for the future in education in metropolitan areas. And Mitch, from the so-called God's country of Cowra, will be wrapping up our topic today. 1823, I hope a few of you know what that year means. That was the first year the Sydney Royal Easter Show was held. 1914 was the year the header harvester was invented. And going all the way to 2016, where over 30 years of research has improved water use efficiency in the grains industry. Now, I think we can all agree that these past pioneering moments are some of the best days in rural Australia. I think that we can really learn from the past, and that rural Australia has faced challenges. I think that we are very naive to think that just because the future of agriculture sounds like it will be the best, that it will also face these uncertainties and challenges, and we need to address these. Thank you very much.
Good afternoon. Before I begin my argument, I would like to point out a few faults in the opposition's case. The negative team has talked about the past and the milestones within agriculture achieved within agriculture throughout it. I don't deny that these milestones have been important and have laid strong foundations. However, we believe the future looks great and the best is yet to come. The future and technology go hand in hand. The advancements in technology within agriculture are increasing production, and with that, there are exponential flow-on benefits for our rural economy, society, and the environment. Technologies like breeding and genetics have been in the works for a while. However, advances using technology and research continue to improve productivity. For example, new plant varieties, robotics, livestock handling systems, and data collection and analysis. A lot of these great inventions take many years to develop, and therefore I believe that we will be seeing some phenomenal advances within Australian agriculture within the many years to come. Our team believe we should look at the National Farmers Federation's approach to the future via their 2030 roadmap for Australian agriculture. They plan on making it a $100 billion industry. We have particular interest in Pillar 3 of this roadmap, which is unlocking innovations. In this debate, you are faced with a choice, either to take the opposition's pessimistic view on the future or to take our optimistic approach. We, the affirmative, believe the future looks great and the best is yet to come.
Now, these words do sound a bit sour coming out of my mouth, but myself and our negative side do strongly believe that the best days for rural Australia are behind us now. And I believe that because I worry for yourself in the crowd today, being from or involved in rural and remote Australia, and ourselves as rural achievers, that we may struggle to continue to be involved in the dwindling populations of rural Australia. The second speaker for the affirmative, her points I completely agree with. I think technology is increasingly important and plays a pivotal role in the success of agricultural production going forward and our ability to manage larger masses of land more efficiently and more sustainably than we ever have before. And this is an increasingly important part for farmers across rural Australia because of the rising cost of production across the last few decades. So what does that mean? It means that with that new technology and with that pressure, we look to extend our land sizes. So our neighbour's property comes up on the market or somewhere else in our regional community. Great, I'm going to buy that block of land. I have the technology, I have the resources, I'm going to be able to manage that block of land. But my family, myself, I'm not replacing that family. I'm not bringing another 4 people into that community, their 4 kids. The mother, the father, the people that are putting back into the local community through the schools, the services, the shops in that rural community, and bringing that money and economics back through that community. And so what does that mean? Are we going to have smaller sporting clubs in our communities? Smaller crowds at our pubs? An inability to have these exciting rural and regional shows, agricultural shows across those communities? And I think, yes, we do. And if that's the case, then the best days for rural Australia are behind us. And I'll leave you with one sort of finishing note, each of us with our farming hats on. If you can grow a clean, bumper wheat crop, free of weeds, high yield, high protein, but you can't go and brag about it at the local pub, did it even really happen?
Ladies and gentlemen, I'm here today to talk about diversity, but firstly I would like to rebuttal to the second speaker. Alistair spoke about how farm kids have been driven away from their rural communities, and for my story, it's a bit of the opposite when I look at that. I was born into a dairy farming family on the south coast, and due to the expansion of farms to become profitable, saw a squeeze on our farming family. So they were moved into commercial cattle, and I had to leave our family farm. And I ended up into mechanical engineering in the steel industry. And I'm able to stay connected to our rural industry through our local show society and our agricultural community programs like this today. You're all gathered here today not to listen to us waffle on, so you're here today to listen to the beautiful girls that are at the back talking about the future. If you didn't believe that these girls here are our future, you wouldn't be here. So why would you believe that the future looks great and the best is yet to come? Today you have seen a snapshot of our rural community. You've seen veterinaries, you've seen doctors, you've seen people involved in our teachers as well, and then you've got an engineer up here as well. That shows a snapshot of the diverse agricultural community that we have here today. From our time at the show, we've got to meet the councillors of the RAS, which all derive from a variety of backgrounds, with 40% of the councillors coming from being female. Sorry. Who would have thought 150 or 10 years ago that a duck would have won Birder Show at Sydney Show. And look, it's happened. So we cannot change the past, but we have to shape our future. Cheers, thank you.
So rural Australia's best days are ahead of it. We've heard speakers 2 and 3 from the affirmative side talk about technology advancements and diversity in regional communities. But what about our grassroots systems, our youth in ag, our ag development through school, our ag plots in high schools? I'm talking in specific around the Sydney metropolitan area. The amount of ag plots that exist in Sydney metro schools are not many. And why is this? I don't know. I think we need to establish that grassroots system for adaptability and detachment, what's creating detachment from our rural communities. What we need to do is establish that connection there so we've got sustainability and future there. If we haven't got youth in agriculture, we haven't got anything. How can the best days be ahead of it if we haven't got young people going forward in the industry? I have 3 children myself, and I have great futures only living an hour away from Sydney. Being able to send them to a school where they can go on and have the same accessibility to events like I did growing up. Every single weekend throughout my school year, I was attending shows all over Australia, all over New South Wales. Learning in the last few weeks, that same school has now been limited to attending 6 shows throughout a whole entire year. How is that giving that opportunity to those students to go forward in their careers and being able to move out into rural Australia? Without these sort of people moving out into the country, I can't see how rural's best days are ahead of it. So I speak firmly from the case that we need youth in ag to be pushed further and further, not pulling back and taking systems away from these young students.
Ladies and gentlemen, before I conclude the affirmative case today, I would like to address the flaws in our opposition's argument. The third speaker for the negative team brought to the front the challenges of learning ag without facilities. Changes to New South Wales public high school curriculum to make agriculture and food a compulsory subject from 2019 have set the wheels in motion to improve agricultural involvement into the future. Students can also make the most of this opportunity even if they don't have a school farm by participating in horticulture. The second speaker for the negative team also presented the challenges in farm ownership and the changing dynamic of the family farm. Our second speaker, Ryan, addressed this challenge with the ever-growing move to diversification. This includes the various ways that farm ownership can be restructured, managing risk with different enterprises, and bringing a diverse array of skills back to the family farm and various forms of farming using off-farm income to improve agriculture into the future. The first speaker for the negative team also told us that the inventions that we've had to date are the best that we're going to get. Sally, our second speaker, put your minds at ease with this one by explaining how advances in technology are going to improve outcomes for the economy, for socially, and also the environment into the future. There are Einsteins of today creating new technologies as we speak. Just you wait until you see them. As young leaders, we have the vision and passion to create meaningful change within our communities and the world. The RAS Rural Achievers and the Land Sydney Royal Showgirls have the future of rural Australia in their hand. The future looks great and the best is yet to come.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for the warm applause for the affirmative team. It's tough being the losing team in a debate and they need all your support today. Distinguished guests, members of the audience, We, the negative team, believe that the future is behind us and the brightness cannot be guaranteed. Now, I've been out meeting with a lot of councillors, and I managed to sit down for a brief second with our fantastic president of the RAS, Mr. Michael Milner, who said to me that the past was good, ladies and gentlemen, and we've overcome some great things. So really, do I need to bring up any more points if that's our president's view? Now, Diane, Sally and Ryan did their very best talking about 3 fantastic points, which are hard to argue with, and the showgirls obviously got around. But technology, ladies and gentlemen, does increase production, but hands up here who's looked at their phone and thought, is this really helping me or hindering me? We've had black spots, we have issues with apps that don't seem to do half the things people tell us they can, and it takes longer to do jobs that can just be done with an elder's notebook. Now, the skill diversity is very required, ladies and gentlemen, as we know that that's obviously an opportunity, but we need to find people to fill them. And as our speakers spoke about, trying to get people back into our rural communities, and especially with Alistair, the communities are getting smaller and that's become a challenge. So yes, it's great to have diversity, but we need people to fill them. And I can't argue with the fact that we are an awesome future for the RAS, but ladies and gentlemen, we can't guarantee that, and that is part of the negative, what we need to focus on. So Josie, Alistair and Corey covered awesome topics through the milestones in ag, through the fact that the struggling of rural communities and the disconnect between ag and the metro areas, and I think if we can overcome them, it's a huge challenge. And we can't guarantee, ladies and gentlemen, as I spoke to Dr. Mark Shembry, the Vice President of the RAS, who said to me that a guarantee is something very hard to do, and to be able to guarantee something that the future is bright is impossible. So thank you, Mr. Fairfax, for allowing us to be the first negative team to win the debate of the RAS, and we'll rest our case.
Just going to steal that, it's going to be easy. Well, ladies and gentlemen, what a debate that was. I don't know which way you think that's going to go. So first of all, we'd like to hear a big cheer for our affirmative team. Oh, not bad, not bad. Not bad at all. How about our negative team? Ooh, dearie me, dearie me. What a decision our judges have to try and make today. I don't know which way they're going to split this decision. I know how they've decided in the past, but let's see. Ladies and gentlemen, I'll hand over to our judges.
You go.
No.
You're the one that Oh, okay, I better stand. Look, I've made a few notes, and I'm one of the older ones here, not young nor beautiful. But don't you recall that single furrow plough being pulled by the draft horse? Don't you remember the milking shed with the milk hitting the stainless steel bucket and the little child pulling on the teat? And don't you remember those hand shears that morphed into the mechanical shear, damaging your ears? Now, I'm not biased with this situation at all, but they were great days, weren't they? And I thought that undoubtedly the negative won the day.
Well, looks like it's my turn, and clearly I'm for the affirmative team, who I think at the end of the day had many really good points. You'll see I have 2 full pages of them here. I've jotted down. If you'd like to use them, I can pop them over. But certainly I think they had wonderful rebuttals to the negative team and their ideas. I think it was a very, very hard call for the negative team, I must say, because I think all of us sitting here, and very proudly so, would say that agriculture does have a good future, and certainly the advances that have been put in place are there, alive and well, and the very clever people who are working on those new technologies are there, and I think you've given certainly good examples of those, the affirmative team. So in summing up, I think you've done very well, and I would give it to you.
I think I should have taken the mic first, because it would appear that I have a difficult role to either agree with my wife or agree with my great mate and colleague, John Fairfax. I've also got a page of scribbly notes, and it's a little difficult to come to a conclusion, because in the first instance, to agree with my wife, I think I started thinking there wasn't much to this debate. It was clearly one for the affirmative. But one has to listen to the arguments that are put, the delivery, the presentation, and the way they're spoken. And that makes it very difficult because, as I said, I'm a little biased, as my wife is, and I do have to go home tonight as well. And I know no one is looking for the political, it's a draw, or are you? Would everyone like a draw? You would like a draw. It's always been a draw. Right. Well, let's make it a draw on the basis that I think the argument and the facts support the affirmative. I think the delivery, the presentation and the notes given by the negative were extremely well done, extremely well presented, and congratulations to you. Congratulations to both. We must declare it, happy judges, to declare it a draw.
Thank you very much to all of our fantastic judges. I think, once again, the winner on the day, as it always is, comes down to rural Australia being the real winner. He's done me in. So, ladies and gentlemen, for one last time, these are your 2021 Rural Achievers.
Well done to our